in Congo, we're right underneath the equator, basically. We're actually just south. And it's, I mean, it's pretty solid. Sun comes up at 6:30, sun goes down at 6:30 in the afternoon. So it's very just year-round. The weather, they always tell us there's a dry season and a wet season. But in the big dry season, there's a little wet season. And in the big wet season, there's a little dry season. And anytime you ask a native what the weather seasons are like, that's what they'll tell you, like word for word. So when it was dry, it was actually very cloudy. It was hot, very dry, and you had to be careful not to overheat yourself. You could get sunstroke pretty easily. I know there was a few missionaries that did that. We were allowed to wear hats just to protect ourselves, and bring umbrellas just to protect ourselves from the sun. They'll tell you to bring sunscreen, but that is a terrible idea. Just because you just can't physically handle a layer of sweat and sunscreen and bug spray. So the most I ever wore sunscreen was maybe a little bit on my nose, just to protect that. But yeah, it's smarter to bring an umbrella. It's called a parasole in French. That's probably the wiser option, just so you don't suffocate yourself. Bug spray, don't worry about it. They'll kill you anyways. Those mosquitoes. There's nothing you can do to stop them. During the wet season, it poured. Torrential downpours. And Pointe Noire is actually a city that's built on sand. And it floods very easily. In fact, one time I was with my trainer. This was my first area. He was a zone leader, and we're going over to a different district for a district réunion, district meeting. Sorry, it's réunion in French. And so we have to take taxi and bus, and in Congo they have sort of lines. Maybe I'll talk about that more later, but. We get there and it starts raining. And before we left, we were actually like, we'll come back before we actually leave into our areas, our sector. We'll grab our umbrellas then. So we're halfway there and it starts raining. It's like, oh no. So we're soaked. We can't find a taxi because no one wants to take in wet people. And so we'll start walking. And finally we get a taxi that will take us just, I don't know, 100 yards. And so we get there and we're just a little bit wet. So we get inside their apartment, we have the meeting, and it's just still pouring and pouring. So we finish up with the district meeting, and we're getting ready to go outside. We're like, we'll just run down to the street, try and find a taxi as soon as we can. We open up the door, and there's just flooded. Just the entire street is up to our knees in water. So we're like, oh no! So we panic, and so we just went for it, and we're wading through, and there's this pile of dirt that was up against the side of this brick wall, and we see a kid that's trying to get out of the water, and he tries to step on it, and he just sinks up to his waist because it was clay. And so he's like, ah! And so we're like, we gotta help the kid! And so we run over, and my trainer picks him up and lifts him over his head, and we were wading through this water, and I went in and grabbed his kid's sandals, and we're walking, and the people in the houses are looking out their doors what are these white people doing? Don't they know water? You shouldn't be in water. So they're yelling at us, get out of the rain. We're trying to. And so we're carry this kid to safety and give him back his sandals. We could not find a taxi. We were drenched. So we had to walk. We probably walked for 30 minutes just in this rain, wading through this water. Trash is floating past, and I was a little bit worried because I had a cut in my foot. I was trying to keep that dry, but nope, no chance. So I got home and put hydrogen peroxide on it. Finally, we got on a bus, and I got in the front, and the woman who was sitting next to me was not happy. She was like, oh, That's the noise that they make for disapproval. It's just, oh, I was like, I'm sorry that I'm wet, but that's a lot of rain. So that was the wet season, and it was almost constant. And when it rains, it kills. There's no cars. There's nobody selling. Everyone just goes inside and tries to stay dry. And so you can always find people at the house when it's raining, and they'll be really impressed that you actually went through all the trouble to get out in the rain and come see them. And some of the most grateful people is when we had a rendezvous, a meeting with somebody. It rained, and they're like, "It's okay, you don't have to come." We're like, "No, we're coming." So we'd come, and they'd be like, "I can't believe you braved the water to see me. That's amazing." And so they're always really grateful if you like do that extra effort. They appreciate it to come see them. Yeah, it's nice. But it can get very hot, especially during the wet season because it's so humid. The sun, it switches between just storm and then just baking sun and humidity, and it gets so hot. You have to really hydrate yourself, or you'll just be miserable all day long. Yeah. So that's the weather in Congo.